The sun hung like a slow pulse over the horizon, turning every surface of the desert into a sheet of trembling glass. The family SUV rumbled through waves of sand, the GPS voice cutting in and out with static that sounded too close to breathing. Daniel kept one hand steady on the wheel, squinting against glare. Mara traced her finger along the map, glowing faintly on her phone. Lila's earbuds leaked ghostly music into the quiet, and Eli whispered that the dunes looked like sleeping giants. The road narrowed, then vanished altogether, but the GPS whispered, "Continue." The air shimmered, thick and humming. Heat rippled through the windshield, and the sound of the engine softened, as if losing faith in its own rhythm. For one suspended moment, everything seemed to pause. The tires, the wind, even time. Before the vehicle exhaled a long, hollow sigh and the engine died, whispering. Silence after a machine dies feels different in the open desert. It's not quiet, it's expectant. Daniel steps out, boots crunching over glass like grains, testing air thick with heat. Mara stays inside, staring at the lifeless dashboard as if her will could bring it back. The kids watch him circle the SUV, his mouth moving but no words reaching them. The GPS remains lit, a faint blue spiral spinning in endless recalculation. Daniel knocks on the hood once, twice. Nothing. Only the echo of wind sliding over metal. For a moment, he smiles, a disbelief kind of smile, muttering that it's probably the fuel sensor. But the desert doesn't echo him. It absorbs him whole. The air feels heavier now, the heat pressing down like a thought that won't leave. Mara opens the door, and a gust spills in, smelling of copper and dust. She steps out, shielding her eyes, scanning horizons that all look the same. Daniel insists he can fix it, his voice calm but cracking in the edges. Lila mutters that no one even takes this road. Eli, small and serious, runs a finger through the sand. It's hot, but beneath, it vibrates faintly, like something humming deep under the surface. Mara kneels, listening, uncertain if it's imagination or something alive. Daniel hauls a metal water bottle from the back, passing it around like a ritual. The metal burns to the touch. Lila takes a sip, grimaces. It's boiling. He says they'll wait an hour, maybe two, before retracing tracks by foot. The GPS still glows inside, a spiraling beacon looping endlessly. Mara stands by the door, watching the horizon sway. She swears she can hear something low, not wind, not engine, a hum from beneath, deep and rhythmic. Daniel doesn't answer. He's still staring at the GPS, whispering, "It says we're on the road." As dusk approaches, the temperature drops, but the silence thickens. The desert shifts color, gold, blood orange to gray. Daniel walks a few paces into the open, searching for signal, holding his phone high. Mara quietly folds their map, the paper limp from humidity that doesn't exist. Lila stares at the horizon where light bleeds into shadow, and Eli whispers that he can still hear the engine breathing. Daniel laughs softly, too softly, and says it's just the wind, but even he doesn't believe it. The GPS screen dims, then flickers back with a single phrase, "Continue forward." By morning, the desert looks like an entirely new world. Their tire tracks erased, horizon rearranged. The SUV sits half buried in soft sand, heat rising before the sun even fully climbs. Daniel checks his watch, murmuring that help must have noticed their GPS signal by now. Mara doesn't reply. She's been staring at the sky, tracing faint lines where clouds used to be. Lila covers her phone with her shirt to see the screen. Still no service. Eli digs shallow trenches with his hands, whispering something about hearing the same sound the car made. Daniel keeps saying the word temporary, like it's a prayer, but every echo dies flat. The hum returns faintly from under the vehicle, low and patient, like a second heartbeat, buried alive. The heat thickens until breathing feels like swallowing smoke. They drag the remaining bottles of water beneath the SUV's weak shadow. Mara insists on rationing. Daniel argues that dehydration comes faster than rescue. Lila mutters that they should walk back, but he shuts her down. Too dangerous, he says. The tension folds inward, heavy and stale. Eli hums quietly, matching the strange sound from below. Mara stares at him. It's the same rhythm she felt in her pulse last night. The sand shivers once, subtly, like an unseen breath. Daniel doesn't notice. He's drawing something in the dirt, a route that always loops back to where they are. The hours stretch into something elastic. Time has no direction, only glare. Lila turns her phone toward herself, recording a short clip, just in case. Her voice wavers between sarcasm and fear. Daniel paces around the car, each footprint fading seconds after he moves. Mara sits motionless in the driver's seat, listening to the same GPS phrase repeat. Recalculating. Continue. The sound is faint but relentless, looping even though the system is off. Eli asks if the desert talks to machines, and for the first time, no one laughs. The air vibrates, a subtle tremor that makes the mirrors quiver. When Daniel slams the door shut, the GPS voice stops mid-word. By midday, the desert hums with invisible energy. The air tastes of iron. Mara wraps scarves around the kids' heads, murmuring something about keeping skin covered. Lila scoffs but doesn't resist. Daniel stares at the compass on his phone. It spins freely, pointing nowhere. Sweat streaks down his neck, eyes red from glare. He mutters about magnetic interference, but Mara hears something else. The faint suggestion of words carried in the wind, fragments like below and listen. She looks at Eli. He nods slowly, as if he heard them too. For a moment, the sand moves again, a ripple circling the car. No one breathes until it stills. Evening arrives disguised as relief, the air cooling but carrying strange resonance. The horizon flickers with a mirage that looks like a radio tower, pulsing in waves. Daniel's hope reignites. He swears it's real. They decide to signal it, headlights on, hazard lights flashing in a stuttering rhythm. But the battery's low, and each blink grows weaker. Lila whispers that the light isn't stationary. It's moving closer, sinking low across the sand. The hum grows stronger, matching the flicker's pulse. Mara holds Eli's hand and whispers, "Don't look straight at it." Daniel, smiling through disbelief, says, "It's just refraction." But his voice breaks on the last word as the light suddenly goes dark. Night should have brought peace, but it brought noise. A whispering static that had no source. Lila woke first, her screen glowing faintly with the last 2% of battery. Shapes moved at the edge of darkness, flickers like reflections without mirrors. Daniel sat outside, arms wrapped around his knees, staring toward a distant glow that pulsed like a heartbeat beneath the dunes. Mara whispered from the car window that it was heat lightning, but the air was still. Eli sat up suddenly and said, almost dreamlike, "It's under us." The words hung in the hot night like dust. Daniel laughed softly, but his voice cracked mid-breath. When he stood, his shadow trembled, broken by unseen movement beneath the sand. Morning returns in merciless color, sky white, sand almost silver. The heat blurs everything. Daniel insists they can walk out. "North," he says, though his compass still spins. They pack lightly, leaving most supplies beneath the SUV's shadow. Mara hesitates. Something about the silence feels alive. Lila films as they start walking, her camera lens shaking from the shimmer of heat. They march until the vehicle becomes a mirage behind them. Then, ahead of them, Daniel stops mid-step. The same SUV, identical, waits on the horizon, half sunken, flickering like bad reception. Mara whispers they've come full circle. Lila lowers the camera slowly, realizing it's still recording. and behind them their footprints are gone. The family stumbles back toward what they hope is the real car, though even the shadows seem wrong. Lila's video replays on her cracked phone. Every frame loops slightly, like time skipping back. Daniel mutters about refraction, but his voice is thinner now, as if the desert is stealing it grain by grain. Mara clutches Ellie's shoulders, whispering prayers too quiet for the camera to catch. The air vibrates in faint tones. Mechanical. Almost musical. It feels like standing beside an enormous, invisible engine humming beneath the world. Then Eli's small voice pierces the hum. It's mapping us. They all freeze. Daniel glances at the GPS on the dashboard. The spiral now glows red. The desert becomes a hall of mirrors, every direction identical, every dune echoing another. Lila walks several meters away and waves. Her reflection appears on the opposite ridge, waving back. Mara screams her name, but the reflection doesn't stop. Daniel runs after her, sand collapsing beneath his steps, shouting for everyone to stay together. Eli covers his ears. The hum has deepened, turning rhythmic like a mechanical heartbeat beneath the dunes. Suddenly, the reflection of Lila stops moving, then vanishes. The real Lila gasps as her phone vibrates in her pocket. New coordinates, impossible ones. Longitude looping itself into infinity. As dusk falls, exhaustion replaces fear. They huddle beside the car, its metal warm even after sundown. The GPS spiral has stopped redrawing. Now it rotates slowly, as if waiting. Mara hums softly, an old tune she can place. Daniel finally admits they're lost, not directionally but dimensionally, as if distance itself has turned on them. Lila whispers that she saw herself wink from across the dunes. Eli asks what happens if they stop moving, if the desert stops copying them. No one answers. The wind rises, carrying faint mechanical sighs, and beneath the sand, a low pulse beats once, then again, closer. Dawn creeps gray over a windless sea of dunes. Daniel wakes first, half buried in sand that poured through the open windows overnight. He crawls free, coughing grit, muttering about traction boards and torque ratios as if formulas can still save them. Mara and Lila dig around the tires with bare hands. The sand feels heavier, almost magnetic. Eli hums again, that same pulse beat rhythm the wind seems to echo. When Daniel starts the ignition, there's only a hollow click, then a long metallic whine from beneath. The ground vibrates faintly, not from the car, but deeper. Mara whispers, "It's not the engine." Lila's voice cracks. Then, what is it? The desert answers with a shudder that ripples outward like breath. They dig for hours, but each scoop fills back in, sand sliding like liquid glass. Daniel swears under his breath, flinging tools aside. Mara tells him softly to stop. The earth doesn't want to let go. He laughs bitterly, saying gravity doesn't want anything, but his eyes betray him. Lila's phone camera blinks once, dead for days, and turns itself on. The screen records nothing but static and faint, rhythmic flashes. Eli whispers, "It's blinking with us." The GPS inside the SUV lights up again. Spiral redrawn wider now, the loops reaching beyond its frame. Daniel grabs it, shakes it, shouting for coordinates. The screen flashes a single word. Below, a sandstorm rises without warning. Wind howls like static, pelting their faces with burning grit. Visibility vanishes. Daniel shouts, orders, no one can hear. Mara wraps her arms around Eli and pulls him under the car, their only shelter. Lila crawls toward them, clutching the map that keeps tearing in her hands. For a moment, lightning flashes without sound, illuminating the dunes. Each hill now shaped like a spiral. Daniel's voice breaks through the roar. "It's moving us." The car jolts once, lifted slightly by wind, or something else. Beneath them, a deep tone resonates, and for an instant, the GPS glow flickers through the sand itself, pulsing like veins of buried light. When the storm finally dies, the world feels rearranged. The car now tilts nose down into a shallow pit. The air smells metallic, charged. Daniel crawls underneath to check the chassis and freezes. The undercarriage hums faintly, a deep harmonic vibration like machinery idling far below. He calls for light. Lila holds her cracked phone screen toward him. In its glow, they see sand pulsing through the gaps, each grain rising and falling, as if breathing. Mara kneels beside them, whispering a prayer. Daniel's voice shakes as he says, "It's not sand." It's moving in patterns. The hum grows louder, syncing perfectly with Ellie's heartbeat. Night again. Exhaustion erases words. They sit in silence, lit only by the faint red pulse of the GPS. The spiral no longer loops. It points downward, a single glowing tunnel. Mara asks softly, "What if it's not showing the way out but where we are?" Daniel doesn't answer. Lila records the light's rhythm. 3 pulses, pause, 1. Eli hums along perfectly in time. Then from beneath the sand, a sound answers. 3 pulses, pause, 1, clear as breath. Mara grabs Eli, trembling. Daniel stares at the dunes, whispering, "It's communicating." The desert responds again, the vibration traveling through the ground into their bones until silence returns like the holding of a breath. They wake before dawn, though none of them truly slept. The GPS glows in steady rhythm, its spiral now slow and deliberate, as if breathing. Daniel studies it in silence. "It's not random," he murmurs. "It's a signal pattern." Lily tilts her phone beside it, the cracked glass mirroring the same curve, pixel by pixel. Mara's voice, soft and brittle, breaks the air. "Then who's sending it?" Eli answers first, almost whispering. "The sand." Daniel laughs once, hollowly, then steps out into the early light. His footprints form half circles around the car before erasing themselves. "We follow the pattern," he says. "If it brought us here, maybe it leads out." The wind rises, answering with the same faint pulse. 3 beats, pause, 1 dot. They walk in silence, following the invisible curve the GPS outlines. The spiral widens, circling a dune shaped like a crater. Mara stops to mark their trail, but when she looks back, her prints are gone. The air hums faintly now, lower and more resonant than before. Not wind, but vibration, as if they're walking across the skin of something enormous. Daniel keeps checking the device. Its spiral line pulses in time with their steps. Lila's camera keeps glitching, each frame doubling, the desert copying itself. Eli hums to the rhythm, perfectly synchronized. The deeper they go, the cooler the air feels, though the sun still burns overhead. Somewhere behind them, the sand folds inward, closing like a living door. At midday, they find the first mark, a metallic shard jutting from the sand, curved like a rib. Daniel digs it free, brushing off grit to reveal engraved lines forming smaller spirals. Mara runs her fingers across them, murmuring that they're warm to the touch. The GPS beeps once, aligning its pulse to the object's faint vibration. Lila films everything, whispering into the camera, "It's mapping us, not leading us." Eli presses his palm to the metal and smiles. "It feels like it's breathing," he says. Daniel jerks his hand away, whispering, "That's heat transfer," but his voice trembles. When he looks down again, more shapes glint under the sand. Hundreds of them, perfectly spaced. As the sun lowers, the spiral path leads them to a shallow basin filled with glass-like sand. The GPS flickers, displaying new text. Center reached. Daniel exhales, half relief, half dread. The ground beneath the basin hums steadily now, almost melodic. Mara crouches, hearing the rhythm align with her own pulse. Lila circles slowly, filming the horizon as dunes shift in synchrony, like a heartbeat reshaping the world. Eli begins to trace the spiral into the sand with his small hands mirroring the GPS design. The hum responds instantly, deepening, alive. Daniel yells for him to stop. But the sound vanishes midair, swallowed by vibration. Then, the sand exhales once, a gust upward, blinding, and white. When the light fades, the basin is different, hollowed deeper, smoother, perfectly round. The GPS has gone dark. Only faint warmth hums beneath their feet. Daniel whispers that they'll head back at dawn, though none of them know which way that is. Lila replays her footage. In the final frame, the spiral on the ground glows faintly, then forms a second one beneath it, mirrored, inverted. Eli stares at the sand, whispering, "It's still drawing." The hum rises again, slow and steady, as if the desert inhales. Mara takes Daniel's hand and murmurs, "We followed it here. What if this is out?" But Daniel only stares at the GPS's dead screen, and swears it's whispering without sound. They wake to a sound like ocean surf, though there's no water for miles, only sand flowing in waves. The basin ripples slowly, dunes shifting like lungs. Daniel stumbles upright, clutching the GPS, though it no longer glows. Mara pulls Eli close. The child's heartbeat matches the rumble beneath them. Lila mutters that the ground is breathing, her voice both terrified and entranced. The desert's motion deepens, smooth and deliberate, as if turning in its sleep. Daniel shouts for everyone to move uphill, but each step slides backward, footprints filling as fast as they're made. The hum grows deeper, resonating through their bones. From below, a low metallic chime echoes, a sound both mechanical and alive. The air now carries static. Every breath tastes like metal. Mara's hair stands with invisible charge as she calls Daniel's name. He doesn't answer, lost in calculation, counting the pulses between tremors. The sand beneath his boots vibrates like machinery under a skin of earth. Lila films despite the glare. The footage flickers with shapes too geometric to be natural. Eli points to the ground, whispering that it's lighting up again. Faint lines of red rise from beneath the grains, tracing symbols that twist into motion. Daniel kneels, transfixed. "It's circuit," he mutters, though his voice trembles. Mara grabs his arm and yells, "Then unplug it." But the hum responds, louder now. A chorus of something waking. The light spreads outward in perfect spirals, joining dunes to dunes like veins. Every vibration sinks to a slow, deliberate beat. The family huddles near the SUV, half buried but still standing, an anchor in a shifting world. Daniel opens the hood again, desperate for anything familiar. Inside, wires hum softly. "It's not dead," he says. "It's connected." Mara steps back, whispering. "To what?" The headlights flash once, without power. The engine gives a single sigh, a ghostly ignition that turns itself off. The sand under the car begins to sink, not collapsing, but opening. Lila screams Daniel's name as he reaches for the door, eyes wide with impossible recognition. The desert exhales and the car slides downward. They run, though there's nowhere to run to. The dunes shift like tides, swallowing every ridge they climb. Wind howls, carrying fragments of a voice, electronic, fractured, repeating one word over and over: return. Daniel yells that it's the GPS looping through feedback, but the sound is coming from the sand itself. Lila looks back once. The SUV is nearly gone, sinking into a whirlpool of dust. Mara trips, dragging Eli down with her. Daniel reaches them, pulling, but the ground beneath starts to tremble harder, rhythm steady, almost musical. Eli looks up at his father and whispers, "It's calling us home." Daniel screams, "No!" But his voice is swallowed whole by thunder, beneath their feet. Night falls again, sudden and absolute. The desert no longer reflects the stars, it absorbs them. Each dune glows faintly from within, pulsing red to white to silence. The family stands at the basin's center, surrounded by shifting light. Daniel clutches the dead GPS like a relic. Mara whispers that she feels it breathing through her feet. Eli hums one final time. 3 beats, pause, 1, and the desert answers perfectly. Lila, crying, points her camera toward the sand. On its screen, faint outlines rise beneath them. Vast structures curling inward, forming a spiral too massive to comprehend. The ground trembles. The hum becomes a roar. The hum becomes a roar. Then the sand begins to close. The first sound is static. Low, steady, human in rhythm, but not in voice. The GPS flickers back to life. Its light weak, but pulsing like a heartbeat trying to return. Daniel wipes sand from the screen, whispering to it, begging for coordinates. Instead, a single word appears: return. He stares at it until Mara takes his hand. Her eyes glint with tears that don't fall. Maybe it means rest, she says softly. Lila records their faces in the faint glow. The footage trembles, the audio hissing with wind. Eli hums, but this time the tone comes from beneath them too, echoing him perfectly. The dunes rise slightly as though something underneath inhales. The desert is not taking them, it is remembering them. The wind begins to speak. At first, only fragments, words shaped by pressure and heat. Then clearer. You are home. Mara closes her eyes, whispering that it sounds like water, like surf against an unseen shore. Daniel shakes his head, muttering about auditory mirages, but he doesn't sound convinced. Lila turns her camera outward. The dunes pulse in concentric rings now, each glow fading into the next. Eli steps forward, barefoot, the sand sinking beneath him but not swallowing. The hum deepens until their bones ache. Daniel grabs his son's arm, but Eli only smiles and says, "It's not scary anymore." The GPS flickers again, the spiral widening until it fills the entire screen with light. For one suspended breath, the desert stops moving. The silence is so pure it hums. Lila lowers the camera, realizing it's recording without power. The image on its cracked screen shows not them, but the SUV, whole, untouched, as if time reversed. Mara clutches Daniel's arm, whispering, "It's showing us back." He nods slowly, understanding what she means. The spiral wasn't a path to escape. It was a pattern of memory, a map of return. Eli's voice drifts above the still air. "It's remembering us so it can forget." The dunes begin to sink again, gentle this time, folding like fabric. Above, the stars blink once and rearrange into a spiral that mirrors the one below. The SUV rises one last time from the sand, gleaming faintly in the starlight, whole and silent. The doors hang open, but the inside is empty. Wind swirls through it, scattering traces of laughter, breath, sound, like echoes too light to weigh anything. The desert hums softer now, the rhythm slowing. The GPS inside the car glows once more, screen cracked but functional. On it, the spiral uncoils and straightens into a single line, pointing outward into endless dunes. Then the display fades. For a moment, the wind carries voices. Daniel's calm reason, Mara's whisper, Lila's quiet disbelief, Eli's hum, blending into a single, perfect note before fading into the vast stillness. At dawn, the desert is flawless again. No car, no spiral, no sound. The sun climbs, scattering gold across untouched dunes. But if one listens closely, there's a faint undercurrent, like static caught in the wind. Somewhere beneath, circuits of memory hum on, marking a pattern unseen by human eyes. A satellite miles above flickers as it passes over this point, briefly losing signal. The GPS systems of passing travelers glitch for an instant, drawing a spiral before resetting. The desert breathes once more, content, still remembering. For those who drive this way, their screens whisper a phrase too soft for translation. A voice between signal and silence. Continue forward.